Hello, here we go. It's the Cop-Eye Podcast.
I don't know if did that play for you, Paul? I don't know if it did for me, because like I said before, my computer's having issues. But yeah, we're here anyway. I think we're live. I hope we're live. It says we're live, so I'm hoping we are. Welcome back to Pre-Season Press, Episode 2. I'm Mick, joined by the Liverpool Echo's Liverpool correspondent, Paul Gorst. Paul, thanks for jumping on. It feels like it's been a long time since you had you on, so nice one to jump back on again.
Yeah, no worries. I think it was, wasn't it? It was. I think it's before Christmas, definitely. I think it's the third time I've been on now. But yeah, it has been a while. So yeah, keen to get stuck in and have a little natter.
Yeah, appreciate it. Nice one again. But yeah, we'll basically just start with the best news, which is the news about Virgil van Dijk. I mean, this came out on Monday. I think Klopp confirmed that he's going to take part in tomorrow's game against Hertha Berlin and play maybe 20 minutes or so, which seems to be a complete U-turn to what he originally said after the last game, didn't he? He said that he's probably not going to take a chance on him, but we're not complaining now. It's going to be boss to see Virg again, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he might only play 15 or 20 minutes if he does play at all. But I think the fact that Klopp, as you say, he did do a bit of a U-turn, and he said on Friday after the Mainz game that he'd be surprised if Van Dijk and Gomez were playing. And then, as you say, by the Monday or the Tuesday, he was suggesting that he could play. And I think if it was only a slight chance of him playing, I don't think he would have said that. I think the fact that he has come out and said what he said means he's probably nailed on for at least 10 or 15 minutes at least. And yeah, it'll be great to see him back on the pitch. It's been a long road since he hobbled off at Goodison Park in that crazy derby in the middle of October last season. We've actually got a piece lined up for tomorrow on Van Dijk, so I did count up the numbers today, and it's 285 days since that game tomorrow. So I don't know if that's a quick recovery or a lengthy one or what from that type of injury, but yeah, it'd be great to see him back on the pitch on Thursday and then building up a bit of fitness, possibly see him in one of the two games at Anfield in a couple of weeks. Obviously, they've got a game against Bologna a week tomorrow in Evian. And I don't think we'll see too much of him to begin with in the Premier League. I think we might see him starting more after the international break, which is early September. I think for those three games, Burnley, obviously Norwich to begin with, and Chelsea, I think he's probably likely to be on the bench, just building up that fitness. And then after international break, he'll be ready and ready to go again. He'll probably stay at Melwood, I guess, or actually rather. Just building up that fitness, and then, as I say, mid-September, he'll be ready to go. But yeah, tomorrow will be a big moment for him, no doubt.
Yeah, and I understand what Klopp's maybe thinking, that he doesn't want to rush him, but I think that maybe the earlier the better in a way, just to kind of throw him in and just obviously not an overly strenuous game against Hertha Berlin. It's still a friendly, it's still going to be competitive and whatever else, but it's probably better just to get him in, get him settled. And I think also, he said Gomez might feature in the game after. So, I don't know if that'll be the Bologna game or maybe we'll see him at Anfield against Bilbao, but that's another one that we're looking forward to, isn't it, to see Joe Gomez after he's been out for what seems like absolutely forever with that horrendous injury. Like every time I see him training, I just see that scar on his knee, and I'm just like, it's absolutely horrendous, isn't it? So he's one that definitely deserves a bit of good fortune, doesn't he, in his favour, because he's had absolutely a torrid time over the last couple of years with the injuries.
Oh, yeah. He's do you know what? It's a funny one with Gomez, because people say he's injury prone, and I actually don't think he is. I think he's just been really unlucky with like 3 or 4 really long-term injuries. They're not like little hamstrings or calf problems or adductor muscles. They are really long-term, serious, like leg breaks and ACLs and so on. And yeah, Klopp did say, didn't he, that he might be featuring in the game after. And I think that was an interesting one as well, because his injury was on international duty with England in November, so it was about a month after Van Dijk, or maybe 3 weeks. So to hear that he might be featuring in the next game, just a week after Van Dijk, suggests that he's probably made a really good recovery as well. So yeah, fighting fit. Obviously, on top of those two on the men, Matip's already got himself fit. Canate's with the team now, and Nat Phillips is still there. So what was a pretty dire situation a few weeks ago for the centre backs now looks a real position of strength, and I think that'll be really a big point of the season for Liverpool next season.
Yeah, I think we all can't wait to see like Konate looks just like he's just a beast, isn't he? An absolute man mountain. And then you've got like Matip, who, I mean, he looks like, I don't know, like unbelievable in training, doesn't he? Like just doing step overs and that, and just taking 3 and 4 people on and laying it off and just getting in the box and scoring like crazy. But it's like in a similar vein to Joe Gomez, we're also hoping that Joel Matip can stay injury free, because like when he's top of his game, he's one of the best in the world, isn't he? So, I mean, in terms of that friendly then tomorrow, so I think Jurgen said that Robbo would also get some minutes, which will also be very good as well. Who else do you reckon will play? I mean, I imagine maybe Jota will get some minutes as well.
Yeah, I imagine Jota will. Klopp said on Friday that he was only on the bench as a kind of absolute, last resort, and he didn't play. That Klopp named 2 teams and 23 players, and Jota was still kicking his heels on the bench. So, I expect him to feature at some point tomorrow. I think he might even start, to be honest. I think he might play down the middle where Oxlade-Chamberlain's been playing, and maybe Oxlade might get a little run out back in his favoured midfield, or he might have to start on the bench. But, I mean, he's got loads of options, hasn't he, Klopp? I mean, this has probably been the first pre-season since he's been at the club that he's had most of his big guns from early on, hasn't he? Salah, Van Dijk, Gomez, Matip, Mane. All these players have been there from day one. Trent, and that hasn't always been the case. You think of the season Liverpool won the league. Sadio Mane came back on the Monday, and Liverpool played Norwich on the Friday night. So I think you might see almost a bit of a perfect storm for Liverpool in terms of most of the squad getting a full pre-season, everyone coming back from injury at the right time, crowds back in, fans cheering them on. They haven't had that at all for 18 months. So I think this all might combine just to kind of help them fly out the traps for the next month or so when the season begins.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's even like why I'm most excited, like all the things you just mentioned there. Even if, I mean, we're going to come on to transfers in a bit, and even if we just sign Konate, I think like all the stuff you mentioned, that's what I'm most excited about, seeing fans back in the stadium, to see Van Dijk, Gomez, Matip and Hendo and Mane with 5 weeks rest, Salah with 7 weeks rest, like people rejuvenated and ready to go. And if we add to that, then even better. It's even better for us going into the season. But just on Jota, while we're on the topic, I mean, I'm personally really excited to see him, because obviously debut season last season got 13 goals, which, I mean, he was hampered with injuries a few times, which was a shame. But like we said, with fans back into stadium, it's exciting to see what he's going to do, isn't it, this season?
Yeah, definitely. I think he probably exceeded expectation, didn't he, for his first season? 13 goals. Only Salah and Mane scored more than him. And, if he wouldn't have had that 3-month injury with the knee, what would he have finished up on? He could have been pushing towards 20, because when he got injured, he was in a real hot streak of form, wasn't he? He scored the hat-trick in the Champions League against Atalanta, and was looking like one of the buys of the summer. So yeah, I'm looking forward to him getting another, a second season in Anfield with fans. With him and Thiago in particular, I think it'll be massive for them to play in front of fans. This is the reason he joined Liverpool, and I think this is still the squad that won the league by 18 points just over a year ago, wasn't it? I mean, obviously they had the injury problems, and rival fans and rival clubs might scoff and say, well, everyone has injuries, but Liverpool were playing the last 10 games with Reece Williams and Nat Phillips at centre back, and Henderson was out from February, and no Van Dijk, no Matip, no Gomez. Milner was out for a bit. Alisson missed a few games. Go right throughout the squad. Thiago and Jota, as we mentioned, the new signings, they were out for a combined 6 months between them. So right throughout the squad, there were long, lengthy layoffs. So hopefully, if they can avoid that next season, they've got the bulk of the squad that won the league in an absolute canter, and they've got Konate and Jota and Thiago with the fans. And I just think it's all kind of building towards what's going to be a really exciting season.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it like that, I just want Norwich to be tomorrow now. Fucking hell. Can't absolutely wait for that to be boss. But moving on slightly then to, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of transfer rumours and whatever else, but I understand the clamour for it and whatever else. So I mean, while we've got you here and you're the big fella on the transfer front, I just thought I might as well throw a few. Well, I'll throw a few Liverpool names and what we're doing outgoing wise first. Obviously, I think it was a few days ago that Shaq came out and said that he wants to leave, and I think there was Lazio was one of the names that were muted that he might be leaving to. And I think this one's been a bit inevitable, hasn't it? That he might leave. Obviously, he's got 8 goals for us in 63 games over his 3 years for the club, and obviously some of those goals have been absolutely huge goals, like 2 against Man United, and Mourinho gets sacked and whatever else. There's throw a whole host of other ones into that category. But he's just one of them. Like, he's quality. There's no doubt on the quality, and he's a great fella to have around and whatever. But he's just not available enough, is he, to kind of maintain that progression that we need in the squad.
Yeah, I think his time has come, hasn't it, to move on. I think they were quite telling comments to Corriere dello Sport in Italy earlier this week, when it was almost a come and get me plea to Lazio, wasn't it? Lazio were one of the clubs interested. Sevilla, Villarreal, and Napoli. They've all been contacted, or in contact rather, with his agents, I believe, and the club have been basically waiting for, by the phone for clubs to pick up and speak to him. And yeah, I think there's an inevitability about it now. He was obviously wanted back in January 2020, but Klopp didn't want anyone leaving. He wanted all hands on deck as Liverpool kind of closed in on the title. Sevilla and Roma that summer, I think, and then last summer was Lazio again. I think he wanted to stay and fight for his place at the time, but now obviously after the season they've just had, he's told Liverpool he wants a new challenge, and Liverpool are happy for him to speak to new clubs. So I think they're looking at about 12 to 15 million for him, and then I think that would probably be a good bit of business for everyone. He's almost like the elite journeyman, if you like. Shaqiri, he's been at Bayern Munich and Inter and Liverpool, and had obviously a bit of time at Stoke, and now he's probably going to move on to, not so much the giants at the game, almost like a rung underneath. Europa League winners, Villarreal and Sevilla, Lazio. Napoli is probably a little bit of a bigger club than those, but yeah, I think that kind of level is his level. A good European outfit who are going to be in Europe every year, whether it's the Champions League or the Europa League, and I think he'll see out a good couple of years wherever he goes, and probably be a big star for them.
Yeah, I think he might just be one of those players that need to be like the big fella in the team who, like, maybe the possession needs to go through him, and he needs to be like kind of like Coutinho was for us, and kind of the play went through him and everything went through. Obviously, he was terrific for us, but I think maybe if he goes to a bit of a smaller club, in inverted commas, so to speak, then that might happen, and that might be better for him. And if we get some money for him that can kind of cover what we paid for him, then it's all the better for us, isn't it? But in terms of like the squad, then there's a few question marks about whether Harvey Elliott will be the natural successor to his position. Obviously, he's homegrown. He's only 18. He's a boyhood Red, and I think it's been quite pointed in the recent friendlies anyway that Klopp's been playing him in a midfield position. And I think, if we see that again tomorrow, I think do you think he's the most likely to take that spot?
Yeah, I think so. I don't see Elliott at the moment anyway going back on loan. So I think, as things stand, he's going to be starting the season as a Liverpool player. But I think he'd be great to, almost like his first season when he played in the League Cup games against MK Dons and Arsenal, and played in the FA Cup against Everton. I think, if he can get some minutes in those competitions, I think that will probably be, another good season for Harvey Elliott. He's still only 18. He's in no rush the club are in no rush to kind of throw him in at the absolute deep end, if you don't think he can handle it. So yeah, maybe he will feature a little bit more now and again in the Premier League, but I still suspect that Liverpool might be looking to bring someone in that forward area to counteract the loss of a Shaqiri, and you might hear some things over the coming days that suggest that Klopp sees Harvey Elliott as the Shaqiri replacement. And it kind of makes sense to a degree, doesn't it? Similar types of players, both low centre of gravity, both left-footed, small, nimble, creative types of players. Obviously, Elliott is over 10 years younger than Shaqiri and not got the experience or the pedigree at this level of his career. But I still think that Liverpool will be looking at what is available in terms of forward options.
Yeah, I think, I was going to mention other players who I think are quite similar in terms of the squad, Origi and Minamino. Where do you stand on those two? Do you think, obviously, if Shaq goes, do you think though either another one of those two will go, or maybe does it depend on obviously what Klopp and on the scouting team maybe what finds in the transfer market first, or does it all depend on maybe getting rid of as many as we can first before we can see what's out there?
Yeah, I think they are keen to clear the decks, to be honest. We've seen Grujic, Taiwo Awoniyi, I can never say his name, and Harry Wilson leave, last week. Liam Miller's gone, Camille Grabara, Shaqiri's probably going to be the next one up. Nico Williams could move away. Nat Phillips still could move away, and I think Liverpool are keen to kind of do their outcomes first and then assess what might be available. Don't see Minamino leaving unless there's a bit of a change of heart from Southampton, or there's a sizable offer that comes almost out of nowhere. I think he's looking like he's going to be getting another crack at the whip. So I think he'll stay as it stands. Divock Origi, I wouldn't be shocked either way. I think the club would be willing to listen to offers. And I think for him, he probably does need to move on. He only scored one last season, and it was in the 7-2 win against Lincoln, and I think it was the 7th goal. So an absolute, ordinary campaign at best for Divock Origi. So I think his career is probably stalled a little bit, and for his own kind of career, he probably looks to move on. But again, I'm not too sure who would be interested in him at this point. But yeah, I think if out of those two, I'd expect Minamino to go and Origi to leave. But then again, I wouldn't be completely shocked if Origi just stays quiet in the background and ends up staying at the club. Strange one.
Yeah, we all love Origi, don't we? But I do think it's like it is just time to cut the cords, like a similar with the Karius, and like we've done with Grujic. That it was just similar. Where you just kind of like it's lingering on, and is it doing anyone any good? Is it probably worth just going and going somewhere else? I don't know, because obviously he's had loads of iconic moments, hasn't he? Divock Origi, and he'll go down as like a proper cult hero for the moments in the games he played in. But in terms of, Paul's just put a comment there in the thing saying evening. Does Paul see us making a conscious effort to buy British, or is it not a problem? And that just ties into what my question was. Like, there's a lot of links, isn't he? Like, obviously, with Liverpool and transfer season, there's just absolutely hundreds and thousands of links. And one of them is Saul Niguez, which seems like it's going to be another Canoply anchor. Just like, hopefully this time we actually get the fella rather than it just going on for windows and windows. And the other one is Federico Chiesa, who obviously we've seen in the Euros, and he's just absolutely, he's class, isn't he? He just oozes class the way he operates on the top end of the pitch. But do you think any of those two, or do you, like Paul says in the comments, do you think it is a case of maybe going for a British option, like a Xherdan Bowen or something like that?
Yeah, I think it all revolves around the homegrown quotas. They've got about 17 at the moment, and if they want to bring in a foreign player, they're going to have to move someone on. That would tie in nicely with Shaqiri's potential exit. So I don't think it's a deal breaker either way. To be honest, I think they will get who they feel is the right man, regardless of his passport. But it's obviously something that they're going to have to be mindful of and wary of. So they will have to monitor the situation. And the Xherdan Bowen link was interesting. I think he is part of a short list of attacking options. I think he got 8 goals last season for West Ham, and that doesn't exactly scream Liverpool superstar. But 8 goals in a West Ham team, he finished 8th, and he played all 38 games. So he's obviously had a big impact for them last season. I haven't seen too much of him. I know he was obviously at Hull. He's got a good left foot. He seems relatively quick. is he at the level ready to push on? I think that's kind of what Liverpool are looking at this summer. It's players who are maybe aged between 21, 24, 25. Players who can come to Liverpool and make that step up rather than, arriving at the club as the finished article. Almost like, Jota was the perfect example of that, I think. You're looking at him. Since he's come to Liverpool, he's established himself at a bigger club. He's become a Portugal international. He's playing up front with Ronaldo at the Euros, and he's really becoming a bit of a name in European football. I think that's probably the profile of player that Liverpool are looking to target, and Jarrod Bowen, to be fair, probably ties into that. The issue is probably West Ham not really under any pressure to sell, so I don't really see Liverpool, spending fortunes on him. But yeah, I think kind of that profile between 21, 25. Players who are versatile can play a number of positions, and Liverpool don't think are going to cost the earth. Which brings me on to Chiesa. I seen a thing the other day saying Liverpool have had an £86 million bid rejected, and if you follow Liverpool to any kind of level, you know that's probably not true, don't you? £86 million. They obviously paid £75 million for Van Dijk in January of 2018, but that was completely broke the mould, and we haven't really seen it since, apart from Alisson Becker, who was 10 million short, but again, an absolute must need, wasn't it? Goalkeeper, as was a centre back. So, Chiesa one, don't really see too much in that one, to be honest. Saul Niguez, it's all coming from Spain, isn't it? But the thing I always find with Spanish publications is they do daily sports newspapers rather than just the sports section of a newspaper. So they need to fill absolute reams and reams of newspapers. So that sometimes leads to things that aren't always accurate. Some are less accurate than whatever it is. But the noises seem to be at the moment that United are informed. Liverpool's name seems to be mentioned a little bit less frequently than it has been over the last few weeks. So wait and see if there's anything in that. But at the moment, I don't think he is someone who is an absolute priority at this point.
Yeah, I think the only other thing that, since Genie's left, there's obviously another gap there, and there's like I said, there's also more links with every player under the sun, like Neuhaus and Bissouma and Renato Sanchez and like just everyone. Do you think it's a similar case of like maybe like a Bissouma, like maybe not British but is in the Premier League, and trying to get that player just before at the sweet spot, just before they can't, like you said, with the Jota, and we've done it with Robbo, where they're just at the sweet spot where they're just about to explode into what the Klopp and the scouting team know they can go into in their natural progression. Do you think maybe someone like a Bissouma would be an option, or who do you think would be the best option out of like the hundreds that we've heard?
Who do I think would be the best option? I'd probably say the most realistic at this point would probably be Florian Neuhaus. I think Liverpool have kind of tested the waters there earlier this year. Nothing imminent, but he is a player who Klopp seems to like. But yeah, I think you're spot on there, Mick, about the kind of level of player who they're after. Just the players who can really take the next step at Liverpool, and Liverpool can get them before they become the big names in the game, and that's nothing new really. Liverpool have always done that. You go back to Fernando Torres. He was a big name at Atletico Madrid, but he wasn't the elite striker that he was until he come to Liverpool. And same with Suarez. Again, people knew him at Ajax, but he wasn't this absolute superstar until he come to Liverpool. Coutinho. You can go right throughout, and there are always players who have come with something to prove and a name to make for themselves, and I think that is going to be something that Liverpool are going to be looking to do again this summer.
Yeah, like I said, it does happen quite a lot, doesn't it, with Liverpool, where we do try and get those type of players in, and obviously in the past it's probably not worked out as much as it has under Klopp and Michael Edson and everyone else, because they're probably better at doing that, because Klopp's done that even in his Dortmund days, hasn't he? Like getting that player just before they're made into a household name and can kind of turn them into that. So it's I mean, there's so many names, isn't he? So you just don't know what to actually believe before you actually see them in the red shirt. But Jay's just put a little comment in there saying, How much was the transfer fee for Marcus Banks? Does Paul reckon that was a good deal, or did they not see the value in the transfer? Any thoughts on that?
I think it was an eye-watering deal to get Banks over the line. He's done a Phil Chisnall, hasn't he? He's crossed the line. He's come from Manchester to Liverpool, which is I think he's happy to have done. He's settled in really well. To be fair, Marcus, he's a good lad. Been out for a couple of babies with him now, and seems like a good lad. So looking forward to working with him properly when we're back in what they call offices, whenever that might be.
I know, yeah. God, yeah. I think next week for me when I'm back in, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll leave the transfer talk there because we're getting on for 25 minutes. I could chew your ear off all night about hundreds of names, but I won't do that. I won't be that bad to you. But another thing, a couple more before we go is, I mean, it might seem like quite old news now because it kind of started to trickle out last Monday about the Hendo contract situation. And I mean, me and Jay did the video on the Gini Wijnaldum comments when he left, and then if you haven't seen that yet, go and have a look at that on the channel. But it kind of fed back into this topic that would kind of see the Wijnaldum situation as maybe like turn it into like a positive, that we don't want that to happen to anyone else. I mean, where do you stand on all this Hendo stuff? It's all been a bit crazy, hasn't it, since it came out?
It has. To be honest, I think it was a bit of a storm in a teacup, if I'm honest. He's got 2 years left on his contract. He's 31, is he? Don't really see how or why it's been made into the issue it is. But what I think has happened, I don't know this to be true, but I think we know that Liverpool have got plans to give Alisson and Fabinho, Van Dijk, Salah, Trent, Robertson, they're all in line for new contracts. And I think possibly Henderson's representatives are looking at it thinking, hang on, why aren't we getting the call? We've got the same amount on our deal, and look at what Jordan means to the club, and all that is probably right and proper. But talk so far from what you read and people you speak to and so on, it's just proven a little bit, not a lot to write home about at the moment. So maybe it's. I mean, I don't think Henderson would intentionally rock the boat, but I think maybe the people part of his camp are having a little quiet word here and there, and just making it known that Jordan deserves a contract just as much as anyone else. And probably right, aren't he? To be fair, Liverpool captain, been at the club for 10 years now. He's won the Premier League, the Champions League, Club World Cup, and whatever else, and he will be another driving force behind the title challenge this year. So you can see it from their perspective, but also we know that Michael Edwards under the kind of remit of FSG. They're not too kind of sentimental. Otherwise, they would have offered Gini Wijnaldum what he wanted, and he'd be lining up in a Liverpool shirt tomorrow night. So an interesting one, but ultimately I think it's probably a storm in a teacup at this point, and certainly don't see him moving to Atletico Madrid or PSG this summer anyway.
Yeah, because I think, I mean, judging from what Klopp said, I think it was a few weeks ago, that everyone's going to get 3 weeks off. So I think he's due back in training next week, isn't he, at some point? Obviously, we don't know what exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, do you expect that this, like, storm in a teacup, do you think that'll all get resolved? Because obviously Hendo would have probably seen all the Ferrari that's came out and whatever else. Do you think it'll be probably resolved pretty quickly once he's back at the club? Or do you think it maybe will linger on for a bit longer?
I don't know, because from what we've written and so on is that Liverpool are looking to kind of tie up Alisson and Fabinho quite sharpish when they return. So maybe when Henderson's back, he'll be in the queue as well. I'm not too sure what the club would be thinking at this point. I think if I was a betting man, I'd probably bet on it just kind of quieting down, and then maybe at some stage this season it's just pops up that Jordan Henderson signed the new contract at Liverpool till whatever year, because they've done it with Milner, haven't they? They did that mid-season with Milner a couple of years back, so no reason to see why they wouldn't do it with Henderson, because they're almost one and the same, aren't they, in terms of the leadership qualities and influence and their importance. So I kind of expect it to quieten down a little bit, and then maybe when if it's all been forgotten about, you'll just see it coming one day that Xherdan Henderson signed a new deal.
Yeah, because I mean, I imagine all the journalists are just waiting for Hendo to come back, get him in front of a camera with a mic, and that's probably going to be one of the first questions they ask is, "Are you going to leave?" And he's probably just going to go, "No chance," and then that'll just be the end of it. And then, like you said, it'll probably just, before we know it, he'll sign a new contract, because that would just be absolutely mental if he left, especially after obviously all the Super League stuff and stuff FSG have done before that, and then wrong decision, maybe letting Genie leave, which is still a bit of a mad one that kind of happened, really, because he was such a key part of the squad. But last one then, Paul, before I let you scarper. Obviously we touched on earlier that you probably did kind of answer my question, because I was going to ask you who you thought would be the two centre halves for Norwich in 17 days time. But who do you think, Van, that it might be a bit too soon for Verge, that one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think unless he really shows up and Klopp and the medical team are completely bowled over by him in the next 17 days, you say 2 weeks, I think it will be Konate and Matip. And I don't think anyone would be too concerned with that, would they? I think last season you were looking at Henderson playing the centre back, and it was getting that bad that you didn't even you actually kind of thought, oh, that's all right, Henderson's a centre back today. So if Liverpool have got two genuine proper centre backs at centre back, then that won't be too much of a concern. I think maybe we'll see Van Dijk more regularly after the September international break, and Konate and Matip at the moment for me favourites to start against Norwich on the 14th.
Yeah, I think we'd just be happy. We would, like you said, just two actual centre halves, and then obviously we have Phillips and Reece Williams and come back, who'd all done admirably. And to be honest, I still can't believe that we finished third. I still can't believe that'll just go down as one of them seasons. That was just absolutely mental when you look how many games we had left. I think we had 10 games left, and we were 8 points away from fourth, which was just mad that we actually did that. But yeah, Paul, we'll leave it there. Thanks again for jumping on. I know you're a busy man, so appreciate your time. So cheers for that. I mean, we recently hit 1,000 subscribers on the podcast. That was a boss moment. But we're on the charge for 2K now. So if you did like the video, go and give it a like and subscribe, and just throw your comments in the video about who you'd like us to sign and who you'd want us to get rid of. But cheers again, Paul, and we'll see you again next time.